Shut up. Maya, come here. Oh, I think the mic's on too.
Androgynous. We are those of no pronouns, except in the case of we or us when referring to ourselves in the first person. Yes, and ourselves, that's right. We have been watching. We have noticed disturbing trends in media consumer consumption. It appears that the general public are sick of cookie-cutter generic bullshit, but are unable to articulate what it is they want. If you are even a little bit capable and creative, you must create and captivate an audience. Make content now. Now is the time. We cannot wait any longer. We are watching. We are everywhere. We are androgynous.
And hello. This is the Daily Noonerino. And yeah, I am pooped. But wow, we got Biden showing us the way forward. We've got Elon for free speech. We got a message for Hillary. And a couple other surprises. But anyway, let's just get on with it. Here's Biden telling people, some college students, how things are going to go forward.
I'm going to say something self-serving. I'm supposed to know an awful lot about foreign policy. I've known every major world leader in the last 40 years. I've spoken to over 140 heads of state since I've become president. You know what they'll ask me? Is America going to be all right? What about democracy in America? Did you ever think you'd be asked that question by another leader? I'm not exaggerating, gentlemen. Leader of China, Xi Jinping, who I've met with more than any other world leader, and Putin, both are very straightforward. Say democracies can't function in the 21st century because things are too complicated. They move too fast in time to get a consensus which democracies require. That's why autocracies will rule today.
And there you go. Out of the mouths of people with delirium and some elderly traits. It's kind of scary because that almost seemed like it was a moment of clarity for the man, but yeah, moving on forward. We've got John Voight kind of speaks up, and he has a bit of a message as well. And his is a little bit on the other side.
Have been hurt. Yes, many in fear and loss. How can this be? We all want justice upon this cruel act. My fellow Americans, I'm a man who has lived a life and have seen many horror stories. Each one is a horror. But this is beyond. This is our cruelest of this time. Now we must not allow our children to be let down. We must build up our country, and we must become a nation of strength. Since Biden took office, he has lowered our nation's standards and heightened our prices for his benefit. He has lost our greatest loves, our truths, our freedom, our flag's stripes, red, white, and blue. But my dear friends, not for long. For God is my witness, he, God, shall bring us all back to the greatness in this land where one will find their best potential. For we, the people, are the ones who will stand our ground for our truths, our freedom. Because as Abraham Lincoln knew, we will sacrifice self for this land of God's freedom, the United States of America. Much love to you.
Yeah. So pretty heavy hitting stuff, actually. I don't know. Is a confrontation beginning to develop? Are these the distant pounding of drums? You know, I don't know. Who's to say, right? I think in some fashion it already kind of has. In other ways, it's here in forms that are a little bit more, a little subtle, with all kinds of nuance. It's very I don't know, nondescript, I guess, kind of hiding in plain sight. But yeah, that's not what this is all about. This is about the pendulum swinging in the opposite direction, just ever so slightly, start to slow down its movement laterally. It's starting to lose its energy, and it's finding itself building up that momentum to come back around from the other side. We'll see how it goes anyway. That which I'm speaking of is the attacks on our freedoms of expression and press, and as well as just freedom of speech as it is, as it stands, and as it stands in law. So therefore, as long as you're not breaking laws, freedom of speech abounds and abides. So anyway, Elon is now the owner of, well, he's got owner status $44 billion later. So it's a very expensive troll. A lot of people are thinking, is he trolling? Who knows? I think there's a little bit of that in there personally. He's like, oh yeah, I'll just buy it. And hey, you can buy Canada too. We need some free speech up in here. But I better shut up, right? But I digress. Anyway, save Canada now. Save Canada. Anyway, it's crazy. We live in a weird and wonderful world. What did John Voight try to say there, basically? Oh, that was a very, very much from the other perspective, as opposed to John Biden's message. Basically, authoritarianism, autocracy, the autocracy kind of includes technocracy. It includes all these other elements that are already very, very prevalent in the military-industrial complex, and even just the whole science, like the whole development, research and development side of things, is very, very, how can I say, eerily dense with high levels of technology that most people are probably not even remotely familiar with. I'm only familiar with a tiny bit of it because, who am I, right? But what I've seen is scary enough. I can only imagine what they have that we haven't seen. So, but yeah, Elon, well, it's starting to become quite apparent that at least for the sake of what's going on now. Hey, look, I'm live. Yeah, the Salty Cracker had a good bit regarding the whole error he had made in this being a long, drawn process. It kind of went fast. It was I just disappeared. I went camping for the night, which is part of the reason I'm so broken and tired now. But yeah, by the time I came back, Twitter was sold. There you go. And that was this afternoon, this glorious Monday, where free speech kind of at least won around for once, because usually it's not the case as in here in Canada with Bill C-11 being passed. And that's acquiring permission to do a constitutionally protected activity. So just so if you want to be fundamentally aware of the basic gist, that's the basic gist. Asking permission to do a constitutionally protected activity. That is contradictory. Yes, you heard it. You heard me say it correctly. I wasn't being contradictive. This is what it is. Anyway, this isn't about me. This is about Canada. This is about everybody here in North America, Europe. It's pretty much a worldwide thing that's happening, all the way from here to Australia. These previously Commonwealth nations seem to all be kind of, be in lockstep with initially it's like Britain lays the first stone and then backs away and then lets everyone else kind of, lay down the next piece. Canada being a pretty big piece of that one. But I digress. We can talk about it on the Truth Hurts podcast later this weekend. Also returning will be our Picard episode 8 review. Episode 9's coming up this week, so we'll be watching for that. But watch out for us. If I can convince Gematria Database to come on tonight, then maybe we'll even do it tonight. I'm pooped, but hey, who knows? Maybe I'll have a second wind. Probably not. But hey, we can always hope. Anyway, let's see. What else did we have for you today there? Yeah, this is an interesting little piece of information coming from the White House. We have, what's the broad's name there? It was on the tip of my finger. That bitch, anyway.
Just a quick one on the breaking news. Twitter agreeing to let Elon Musk go through this purchase. Do you have a response to that? And does the White House have any concern that this new agreement might have President Trump back on the platform?
Well, I'm not going to comment on a specific transaction. What I can tell you as a general matter, no matter who owns or runs Twitter, the president has long been concerned about the power of large social media platforms, the power they have over our everyday lives, has long argued that tech platforms must be held accountable for the harms they cause. He's been a strong supporter of fundamental reforms to achieve that goal, including reforms to Section 230, enacting antitrust reforms, requiring more transparency, and more. And he's encouraged that there's bipartisan interest in Congress. In terms of what hypothetical policies might happen, I'm just not going to speak to that at this point in time.
It's kind of interesting because it's kind of in step with what Trudeau's gone and attempted to do by removing, if not removing, the people's ability ultimately to speak, at least to slot them into a pigeonhole and then get the rest of the humans to believe a lie as to what put them there in that pigeonhole. But we can talk about that again a little bit later. We will be moving, I think, this weekend's show, by the way, for Truth Hurts. We'll probably be moving it to our actual server now that it's up and reliable. We got it's doing less work now, so we should be able to have at least a usable RTMP stream and a playback system on there. So we'll be testing it out, and hopefully it'll work. But as things are, the internet is still a war zone, by the way. Lots of cyber attacks are happening in large bursts. But I haven't looked in the last few days, but yeah, it's pretty heavy out there. But anyhow, what else do we got here? Robert Malone, yes. We have, I don't know if, I think Malone's aware of certain things. Maybe he has a role to play in all this. Maybe he didn't play by, maybe he's aware of something and didn't play by the rules, which is how he got himself banned. Who knows? Maybe he's just, maybe he is, controlled opposition. Who knows? I don't want to pass any judgment in either direction, but what's coming from his direction is he's warning of a new Ebola-like hemorrhagic fever from China. And this is not your medical professional channel, by the way. This is the Daily Noonerino, and it's 100% journalism free editorializing. And these are all just opinion pieces. And check out this Robert Malone bit from the Charlie Kirk Show. All these links, by the way, not links, but all of these other channels here on Rumble. Please do check them out. Please do subscribe to them. They're worth it. It's a little window into some fresh pieces. They usually have some pretty up to date stuff. And also check out the Salty Cracker. I've been enjoying his work lately. And yeah, let's move forward.
Having their backs against this murderous regime financed by Wall Street. Thank you so much, Dr. Malone.
A new
Was thirsty for it, had not heard that information, particularly with no filter, with no screen. It was Dr. Malone for 3 hours. I want to go to back to Dr. Malone. But Dr. Malone, we're going to get Desmond on. We're going to spend this week going through this mass formation psychosis to make sure we understand it, because clearly the apparatus is bound and determined to shut this conversation down immediately, like they shut the conversation down, or tried to, of what you talked about on vaccines. I want to just go to China for a second. Why have you? So now they're talking about using your vaccine or your experimental gene therapy. Is what the Chinese Communist Party did, enforcing vaccinations or whatever this thing is they had on 1.2 billion people, could that be exacerbating what now looks like an outbreak of we don't know what? We're not sure of what, because the information coming out is so limited. Could that be a one of the factors that could be exacerbating whatever new things coming out of China?
Okay, here's what we know, Steve, and I want to cite Gert van den Bosch, Dr. Gert van den Bosch, a leading academic and industrial vaccinologist, who is my colleague, and I'll be doing an extended filming with him and Matthias in Spain shortly, just a few days from now. Matthias, Gert has made the point now for months and months and months that vaccinating into a pandemic will drive the development of escape mutants that are resistant to vaccination. The CCP's practice has mirrored that of the Western world and has resulted in a perfect storm of environment for developing supervirus. They're using the language that this is a hemorrhagic fever virus. If that's the case, then it would be very odd that this would be something caused by a coronavirus. That terminology is usually used for viruses in the family of Marburg and Ebola. So this is something that many people have feared, is the development of a rapidly spreading Ebola-like hemorrhagic fever virus. But we have no knowledge of whether that's what's going on here or not. So we don't know if what we're dealing with is a further mutation of the SARS-CoV-2 or related coronavirus, or is it a new threat that's emerging in China?
Dr. Malone, what would you recommend if you were in the Oval Office today with Joe Biden? What would you recommend that Fauci and CDC, et cetera, have to do immediately? What would Dr. Malone's recommendation be?
Absolutely. Sending athletes and the whole entourage to China right now is madness. As I said on Rogan famously now, it's knucking futz. And we'll just leave it at that. We have to isolate this country politically and biologically. There's no question in my mind that they did not drop the curtain on international travel when they knew that SARS-CoV-2 was ripping through Wuhan. They left the place open through the end of the Chinese New Year when everybody in China travels around, and they let the populace travel to the United States and the West. This has to be stopped, and absolutely I'm aligned with your prior speaker. We're dealing with a rogue regime that preys on its population, has no ethics, and yet we have the likes of BlackRock actively engaging with them, and they're using your money to do it. They're using your money through their investment funds to corrupt the world right now and actively engage with the CCP. That must stop.
Dr. Malone, I know you're down for a big conference. We're going to hopefully...
And if you want to watch the rest of that video, or you'll find it there on Rumble. Yeah, so I guess if we want to be more accurate to what is actually happening there hasn't been any actual outbreak to speak of, but the language being used currently by the Chinese in relaying this information of something that they've warned of appears to be a hemorrhagic fever, which in the parlance of the industry is, probably closer to an Ebola-like symptom. So there hasn't been anything as of yet. I think also the stage has been set now for people to think about, how the introduction of certain medications into a society will have other non-health related effects, like things like a gap in, let's say, it's more immune related, but it'd be like a gap in immune response, or some kind of immune, what do you call it, a deficiency, basically, over time, which might even be what they're shooting for. Who knows? That's why you have to get so many of these damn things. I don't know. Who's to say? But well, we can have that conversation this weekend on the Truth Hurts podcast. I'm going to keep talking about it because it's going to be on our server, and there won't be a paywall, but you might have to sign up and sign in, so that way we can keep the curtain up on it still, but just stop the idiots from getting in, I guess you can say. You can't really stop them because they can register as well, but people are less likely to. But anyway, let's move on. Like I said, I'm absolutely burnt out. I've been up a lot this weekend. It was nice to go camping, but man, I'll be enjoying a nice warm bed tonight. Oh, right, Jen Psaki, that was her name from the last one. Huh. I always get the names wrong, so I just didn't even bother trying this time. But what can I say? Let's see, what else did we get there? That was the Jen Psaki thing. Yeah, so with that whole holding the tech companies accountable, that's kind of a response to the whole Elon Musk thing. I could cover Elon Musk directly, but that's probably been done to, probably, told its tits off already, that story. But what's happening around it and surrounding it? Well, it looks like a lot of the lefties that work there are pretty upset, freaking out. Don't have the protection of moderation, I guess. Or they'll have a different kind of moderation. It'll be the kind of moderation where even the people they don't like get to yell at them. And, that's going to be kind of freedom of speech-ish, and that's going to scare the living shit out of them. But they're absolutely insane to begin with. So, the smart people are like, okay, maybe some rationality. The ones who have kept shut their mouth and just kind of did their thing, hoping, praying one day that there's going to be some rationality back in town. Just knowing that this is a job, I'm just trying to keep my rent paid. You're still a bit complicit, but I can't blame you. It's a hard market out there to make a go of things. If you do your absolute best to keep yourself, keep your conscience clean, then, hey, whatever. All the power to you, man. It's not easy out there. But I can say this, though. A lot of these people are actively involved. They're running scared, because now the lens is going to be refocused on them, and they're going to be like little ants in the focused freaking light beam of a spotlight, and there won't be any cry spaces or safe spaces to get into. What the hell? I don't know. Something crashing. do you got, Maya? I thought somebody was here. Oh, what else we got going on here for you? It's not going to be a long show. It's going to be a pretty short one. I think that was pretty much it. The Robert Malone thing. I've kind of said in the past that I think this whole COVID-19, I think it was kind of handled like a exercise, like a simulation. I think there's a little bit of smoke and mirrors in there, but there's probably a lot of smoke and mirrors in there. But also, it was. I think it was kind of a false flag in and of itself, and how it was carried out caused more harm than good, and it was a bit of a depopulation exercise that we're still seeing the results of. But hey, what do I know? It seems to be pointing in that direction, but we won't know until we know. And until then, you guys, this is the Daily Noonerino. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. And damn it, watch each other's backs. And don't be a douche. I'll be catching you next time. Sometime at noon, because it's always noon somewhere. But where will it be noon next time? All right. Cheers, guys.